Hello everyone, we are back to our permaculture videos where we want to get in touch with you and explain you what we have been doing in the past months, converting our conventional gardening into a permaculture garden. Last time we explained you our back garden. This time you can see behind me we have an area which used to be which used to have a building on it, which was demolished. And after demolishing the building, all the trash had been left out on that ground. So we were very, or let's say we didn't really take care about this area for a long time because the soil itself was too difficult to work on and to grow anything on it. But after we finished the back part, we decided, okay, let's move on to this part of the garden. And the first thing, or the first challenge we had, we needed to clean and filter out all the soil. So after we have cleaned up the soil, we still more or less find always some stones and some leftover pieces of the former buildings here. Even we already did the cleaning process. This is a bit challenging, but we find a solution how we can cope with this, especially for this area. Generally speaking, when we look at the area, we have some overlayer trees which have already been here for a long time. You see on the left side the mango tree, followed by avocado and a durian tree. So this area is pretty much covered and shaded, and the ground is also kind of slanted down, so rainwater usually accumulates on the lower part of this area, so on the left side. When you're looking at the right side, there's a huge rambutan tree, so another layer tree which shades more or less the upper part of this area. Beside those overlayer trees, everything else on this ground, what you can see now, has been more or less planted afterwards. You just see in the back part some plants which have been there already because it was a decorative garden before, not a food garden. So time by time we will also need to convert that into food plants. Okay, when we layouted this area, we had to start from scratch, and the first thing, of course, which guided us were the overlayer trees which were already here. Secondary part was we decided the different levels of the permaculture garden, what we wanted to plant and enrich areas to have all the different levels and zonings. On the other hand, we also made sure that some parts inside the garden are frequently repeated. For example, the presence of flowers, as we needed the pollinators all around the garden, not only in one place. So you can see here, when we enter this new area or this area, we have here a border space where we planted several different kinds of flowers to attract the insects. And when you move on further in the garden, you always see additional parts where there are flowers so that the insects also spread around the garden more or less all over. Of course, this is something we will in the future also work more precisely, because we have not enough varieties yet, so the kind of flowers is a bit limited, so we need to increase also the diversity of those flowers in the garden, just to attract more different kind of insects and give them all food, because at the end that's all for a healthy soil. Here in the front part of the garden we have some shrubs which is yeah, it's a plant which provides us leaves for tea, which is called Blunter's tea, very healthy kind of tea for digestions and for all over health. They are very easy to handle, don't need a lot of care, so we can more or less just, whenever we need them, we just harvest them and can get some leaves for the tea. An important part when creating this garden was also accessibility. So we needed to have something like a pathway where it was easy to access all different kind of areas in the garden, but on the other side we also don't want to make a straight pathway. So we created something like a natural alley, and we just used old kind of woods from our garden, but also from leftovers as a border, so that it's easy to get in and out. In permaculture gardens, we also have to look for our floor covers to make sure that the soil itself stays humid and healthy. Here we have an example of using sweet potatoes, and actually we are now trimming them down because we want to get bigger roots or bigger fruits out of them. So we need to cut them a little down because now it's too dense. Another option is also we could cut them or trim them a little bit shorter, and then we plant them in another area within the garden. Some areas inside the garden we do not have yet the floor covers. So what we do, as what we have explained in previous videos, is to cover them with mulch and make it more dense so that no weed is coming up, and more or less the soil is kept humid and moist. This area we planted corn. You can see a few corn plants, and we will have two shrubs here. One is the sour tree, and over here we have an orange tree. So by the time they will of course grow and become bigger to add also shadow in the mid area. Another shrub tree or even mid layer is this tree which we planted already maybe one and a half years ago, and it's a mulberry tree. So it grows pretty quickly during that time, and we will look forward of course for the first fruits which we can get from there. And from here we will have another new fruit which we plant, which is the blueberry. Also more or less another shrub which can grow in the mid area of the garden. Here in this front area we have three different plants. One is the red spinach, where we have a few plants up here, This is a special lemongrass. It's not an eatable plant. We have also eatable lemongrass in the garden, which we have a lot actually, because it's very important, not only for eating them in our kitchen, but also for preventing pests within the garden. But this one is called, we call them more or less wet lemongrass. Even it's green, but on the lower parts you will see there's some red colored areas, and this is not eatable, but it's even stronger when it comes to preventing pests. And just behind you can see there are cherry tomatoes. Some are already growing, ready to be harvested maybe once they become red. As I explained in the beginning, the condition of the soil in this area was not so good because of the building waste which has been spread all around. So to still be able to plant eatable food in this area, we started first time to work with raised beds. You can see raised beds here, and they are all in different stages or conditions. The first one in the back, for example, that's the one which has been done the last one. So it's just filling up with compost from our own garden, but also from external sources. Then we have here two beds where the soil is already healthy, and we just added the mulch. And then the first raised bed contains cauliflowers, several of them here in the front, and the Brazil spinach. And when you look in the back part, there are a few chisyms, as well as one strawberry plant, but it's still not planted inside. Beside this bed, we have a second one here in front, which will be our herbal raised bed. So here we have oregano, mint, and we will plant rosemary now. For the raised bed, for all of them, we use leftover wood which we got from a succulent tree, a breadfruit tree, which we cut in our other garden because it was too tall, and we had to take care about not let that tree fall down on the neighbor's ground, so we needed to cut it down. And all the wood has been used to create either the raised beds or the pathways.